All right, what's up, my brothers from another mother and those few rational sisters out there that enjoy my content. I've had a number of requests from guys over the last couple of years since I put out a very popular video on the channel. I think it probably brought in quite a few of the subscribers as well through the recommended feed on YouTube when they were friendly to my content. They're no longer friendly anymore, but it was a video that I titled something along the lines of my experience dating a single mother. Card on the top right of the screen. You should check it out. It was a 20-minute video. It was done a year or two ago, and it's got a lot of comments in there. Most guys' feedback were basically, I had the same experience, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, don't do it, what he's saying is true, blah, blah, blah. Some women didn't like it. That's where a lot of the triggered comments came from my triggered video, card on the top right of the screen. If you haven't seen that one's pretty funny. But a few guys have said in the comments, can you give us a scenario or scenarios where it would be ideal to date a single mother? So I've put some thought into this. Generally speaking, again, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, but there are scenarios where it might make sense for you. As you see, as I go through the list, you're going to see that the dating pool is going to get narrower and narrower. But I thought I'd be helpful and share those experiences myself and men that I've coached on the Clarity.fm platform that have asked for help and tips with this, so that you guys might get some use out of this. This will be a very useful video, so make sure you engage the community, leave your comments below, share it with somebody that needs to see it. First things first, I want to just preface this and say, take it with a grain of salt, watch it right to the end. Again, this is from my experience and from many of the guys that I've coached. First things first, tip number one, if you have kids that are roughly the same age and get along, that's kind of an important component. My experience, again, is I had a 4-year-old daughter at the time when I met this woman. I was just out of a marriage. I was divorced, and she had 2 boys, age 7 and 10. And I had no experience with it, so I just kind of went into it blindfolded. It was my first experience dating a single mom, and I just kind of went for it. Like the first 6 months were great in the dating area. Got along amazing, wicked connection, excellent on every level. And then all of a sudden, about 4, 5, 6 months in, I started getting conversations brought to me from her like, I'm thinking about, maybe introducing you to the boys. What do you think of that? They hear the text message alerts go off because she put some special alert notification that identified, me pinging or whatever. And they want to know who this guy is, and I'd love to meet you. And I think it'd be fun. We could do stuff like skiing and, blah, 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 fill in the blank. So I thought to myself, all right, let's check it out. Dig this chick's vibe. She's hot, enjoying her. So her kids can't be, any problems for me. Everything should be great. Anyway, watch that 20-minute video that I did that I put the card up earlier. So the reason why it's so important to only consider an LTR with a woman with kids when you have kids the same age is because it really does matter. You cannot ignore the fact that boys and girls have separate interests. Very separate interests. There's certain things that you could do, like go to the trampoline park and jump around, maybe do skiing and stuff like that. But that also brings me to kind of the second half of that is you want them around the same age sort of thing. So if my daughter is 4 and her kids are 7 and 10 and you go skiing, her skill level is right down at the bottom. She's just getting started, and they weren't that advanced, but a little more advanced than what she is. So you're going to kind of like be together, but spend time separately. Also, there's a lot of disinterest in many of the components. One kid likes video games. One kid likes working with his hands. My kid likes pink shit and playing, pink princess board games and things like that at the time. So, very, very different interests, which makes it hard to kind of blend the time and the family where they get value out of it, where they kind of play with each other, where you feel good about the time they're spending together as a parent. That was my experience. You also kind of want the same number of kids if it's something that you're going to consider on an LTR. If I've got 1 kid and I meet a woman with 2, 3, 4 kids, there's a number of problems that are going to come along with that. I did a video kind of poking fun at the hot crazy matrix, but for moms with kids. So you can accurately score. I'll put a card up in the top right. Relevant and important information. Again, it's kind of a comical twist on it, but it's worth checking out. You're going to have so much energy in your day to allocate to parenting and doing stuff with, your love, your LTR, plus the children's side of the story or the family. And if she's got more than you, it's going to take up more of your time, resources, and money. And it creates an imbalance. And it's not like she's going to care, guys. It's not like you're going to get any relationship equity because you put more time into her 2 or 3 kids versus the one that you have. Like there's nothing there, Rollo Tomassi said in his book, throughout his book a number of times, women can't love you in the way that a man wants to be loved. And it's not like you're going to get actually brownie points for spending more time with the extra children, developing kind of relationship and stuff. So something to be aware of. As you can see, as we're getting started now, I'm whittling down the opportunities for dating in an LTR with women, with kids. The next point is kind of ties in the first. You want to make sure that there's no risk of kids violating each other. So what do I mean by that? This is really important. It was really important to me as a father because I've got a daughter, and the biggest risk to little girls, it's not the park, crossing the road, riding her bike without a helmet. It's males that aren't of the same bloodline. Now, I don't have any sisters, but if you're a boy and you've got a sister, so if you're a guy and you have a sister, there's chemical, like nature has basically created this scenario where there's repellent between the two of you. You're not going to be sexually interested in her. She's not going to be sexually interested in you. Generally speaking, throughout history, on a balance of probabilities, that's why we tend to mate with and pair up with women that are not, from our family, from our tribe, from our community, so on and so forth. So the biggest risk to your little girls, guys and girls, if you're watching this, is males. Okay, that are not of the same bloodline. You have to be very, very careful with this, and you have to be aware of it. And I started seeing scenarios that started to look risky. Okay, if our kids were together and her boys were sleeping in the bunk bed and my daughter was on the top of the bunk bed, by the time the oldest one got to about the age of puberty, 11, 12, in and around there, he started saying weird shit like, I want to sleep in her bunk on the top. Is it okay if I sleep with her, or can I sleep in her bed, sort of thing? And I was like, no. That is not happening ever, so you can get that out of your head. Girls are often, and I'm not even saying, often like how many times, like 50% of the time, 90% of the time, I don't know. Girls are often violated by males of a bloodline that's not theirs. It happens. Talk to any girls that grew up in a blended family house, and I've heard this story a number of times. It happens more than you think, guys. So just be aware of it as a parent, and ladies, as a parent, be aware of it, and you kind of want to protect yourself from it. If I've got a daughter and she's got a daughter, that might be a scenario that might work if they're the same age. Point number 3, you want to make sure that you're already local. And when I mean local, I mean already pretty much in the same school zone. So if I live here, and that's about an hour away from where she lives over here, I've got my kid in extracurriculars, swimming, soccer, baseball, in her school zone where her friends are, blah, blah, blah. My ex-wife also lives about 5 minutes away. So everything kind of works out in that area. If she lives about an hour away and her kids have their friends in their school zone, in their extracurriculars, she's got access to all of her whatever in that area. She's, both of you are going to have a hard time finding a happy middle ground. Yeah, you can kind of like, blend families here in the middle somewhere, do your LTR thing there. But somebody's going to have to sacrifice. And more often than not, it's usually the guy. Women tend to make it the guy's prerogative to move because guys are idiots. We just fulfill that gap or need. So you want to make sure if it's something you're going to consider, you're in the same sort of school zone. You're not that far away because it makes much better sense for both of you if you're going to consider this. Again, very hard. As you can see, as I'm going down this list, we're starting to knock off a good chunk of the dating pool. Which is why, again, I often tell guys when I'm coaching them on stuff like this, yeah, date single moms, if you want, but you have to consider these things because they do matter. Okay, that's why most of them don't get into LTRs with them and they just date. And the last thing, you have to consider reverse hypergamy. So resources. We've talked about hypergamy on the channel a lot. And I've mentioned reverse hypergamy on how not to get divorce raped. You can check that video on the top right. A lot of comments in there from the community with guys confirming what I pointed to. So most women are economically and financially, below men, and they're always looking to marry up, get a better deal, date up, whatever it is. It's a provisioning play. I've seen scenarios myself where I had dated single mothers with kids. And they wanted to blend families, wanted to date on a longer term basis, wanted to introduce, to children. And all you got to do is look at the digits, the numbers here, the sorts of things that I'm ticking off, and recognize When you want to keep it on a dating level and not an LTR, let's introduce each other to the kids, she'll bounce very quickly. And it's because of the provisioning. Okay, she's looking for provisioning for her and her kids so things can be taken care of. You guys that are watching this, you offer a lot of value in the world when it comes to dating, long-term relationships, and especially single mothers, because you've got more resources than them. My scenario was, with one kid, I would never even consider anybody with more children, children of a different age, too far away, and all those sorts of things. So you've got to consider reverse hypergamy. If you're going to do an LTR with a single mom with kids, make sure she's at your economic level or higher. And it's as simple as that. And you'll never have to worry about, getting divorce raped. It still doesn't take things off the plate. Like maybe you might have to pay for child support for children that aren't yours if things go sour a couple years later. And I'll be honest with you, fellas, I've coached a lot of guys that are going through a divorce where they've married single mothers with 2 kids from a prior marriage, and then they have another kid with them because it's safer for her, and it creates a provisioning type of environment to lock him down. And then things don't work out, surprise, and now he can potentially be on the hook for paying support for 2 kids that aren't his. If she divorced a guy that's better off than you are and he's got the financial resources to pay it, you'll probably be okay. But if he's not well off, not in the picture, makes less money than you, you could be on the hook for paying for kids that aren't yours. So those are the things that I'd like you to consider. Quickly, again, to recap, make sure the kids are about the same age. Make sure you've got roughly about the same number of kids. You're not exposing them to any opportunities to be violated. If you've got little girls from boys that aren't of the same sex, again, I've had a number of conversations with women that grew up in blended household families where they had stepbrothers and they were sexually molested. So, and it messes with women's heads. There's a reason why it's difficult to date some of these women out in the world today, because of their childhood experiences that they've never reconciled and never dealt with. So it's something to consider as a parent if you value your child and how she's going to function in the world. You already live local, and consider reverse hypergamy. Leave your comments below. I hope this video helps shed some light. If you have any topic suggestions or requests, of course, you can request them below, or you can private message me or email me. You guys know where to find me on social, Instagram, Facebook. It's EntrepreneursinCars. I'm all over the place. You know where to find me. So message me if you have questions, and I'm happy to respond or create more specific content around that. Again, I appreciate your support. So like and comment on all my videos, and make sure you hit the notification bell, because I've heard people complain in the past about being unsubscribed from the channel, or it's not showing up in their notification feed. Also, I do most of my engagement back and forth with you guys in the comments the first day videos come out. So if you hit the notifications and you have questions, I'll be able to comment or reply and stuff like that. So it gets in front of me quicker as well. And if you want to support the channel further, you can become a Patreon. Links are always in the description below. You can buy the books in the affiliate links that are also in the description below for Rollo Tomasi's Rational Male, The Way of Men by Jack Donovan. There's a few really good books there that all guys I think should read. And there's Patreon link as well. So again, thanks for checking it out. Have an amazing day. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.